What an unbelievably brilliant decision you made today to join in the trenches with Dave Lapham. Brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, operating in our phenomenal studios. We have a phenomenal guest, Jake Browning. The legend of Jake Browning continues to grow. So we had to catch up with the man himself. And he was phenomenal. I mean, talked about his high school, college, now professional days, who was important in helping him develop at every level of football. Talks about the importance of his family, his teammates. Talks in detail about games that he's participated in with the Cincinnati Bengals this season, 3-1 as a starting quarterback. How about since 1950? That's a lot of great quarterbacks have played in the NFL since 1950. This is the only guy that's thrown for over 1,000 yards and completed more than 75% of his passes in his first 4 starts. That is mind-boggling. You're going to love Jake Browning. What an unbelievable decision you made to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics today. As always, we're in our outstanding studios, and we are joined by an outstanding guest. I mean, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Jake Browning. What's up, Bud? What's the word?
I mean, what an intro. Thank you. Not many words here. Just normal Tuesday for us, and happy to be in the trenches with you.
I'll tell you what, the numbers that you're putting up, since 1950, you're the only quarterback to have thrown for over 1,000 yards and completed 75% of his passes or more in his first 4 starts since 1950. You are it. Think of all the quarterbacks that have played. Think of all the great quarterbacks that have played. Jake Browning, the one and only. What does something like that mean to you?
Feel fortunate. It feels like a lot of hard work has been paying off, but also feel pretty fortunate to be on a team with some good players and be in a really good scheme, and feel like I'm in a position and situation where I'm able to play well. And so I think anytime quarterbacks play well, there's a lot that goes into it. And so, make sure that some of that praise gets deflected to other teammates. So that's kind of my general thoughts on that. But obviously, it feels good to be playing well.
Tell you that answer right there is why your teammates love you, man. They're playing so hard for you because, you're humble. You basically deflect credit to them, and it's appreciated. I know the big boys. I talk to your O-line members fairly frequently, and man, they'd go through hell in a gasoline suit for you, man.
Yeah. There's not many parts of O-line that this sound really, really appealing. So it's it's a grind up front, and they're playing great, and that's part of the reason we're where we are.
But your whole career, I mean, every level of football, you've put up ridiculous numbers. Back to Folsom High School, California. Not only were you a great football player, how about that 4.0 GPA? Jake, man.
I don't know where that 4.0 came from. I don't know if I had a 4.0.
Is that right?
Yeah, I might have. I mean, I had good grades, but I don't know about a 4.0. And I wasn't crushing AP classes or anything like that. That's probably more so my girlfriend, who was the more impressive student. But the football part's true.
Yeah, the football part. I mean, 229 yards passing there for your career, a national record. In your senior year, throw for 91 touchdown passes, a national record. Your Gatorade Player of the Year, the state of California, your junior and senior year. Then you go to Washington. You're the second ever true freshman to start at quarterback. Your sophomore year, go 12-2. You're offensive player of the year in the Pac-12, and you're 6th in the Heisman Trophy voting. You win 39 games. I mean, every level that you played. Now here you are. Your 4 starts, you're 3-1. You're a winner, man. Every level you win football games.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot that goes into that, but I was put in some good situations or good positions, and played well enough to win a lot of games in high school and college, and now it's only been 4 games, so let's keep that in perspective. Hold on, I gotta put my phone on Do Not Disturb. uh, put that in perspective a little bit, but yeah, I think anytime you're playing well, you're happy you're playing well, but you want to keep it going and kind of think in football you're always on to the next one pretty quickly.
Who is a guy or maybe a couple of guys along the way that influenced your career, made you the quarterback you are, the person you are, all that sort of thing? Is there a couple, 3 guys or whatever that you might point to, or is there a main guy you could point to?
I think throughout the whole time I've been really fortunate to be around a lot of really good coaches. Obviously good players too help, but I think if you looked at, in depth in my story, it's, I'm around Troy Taylor pretty early age. Just so happened out of everywhere you could live in California, I grew up in Folsom. He just so happened to, basically be an NFL college level coach, but was coaching at my local high school. So that was, I was always a hard worker, and was always pretty good before high school and all that. But I think just the sheer chance of my local high school being where he was coaching, that was definitely an accelerator for my career. And then going to Washington, and then you kind of look back, Jonathan Smith was my OC. Chris Peterson was my head coach, and just the coaches I was around there. And then even, with my time in Minnesota, the guy that was running the scout team when I was a rookie was, in my opinion, a Hall of Fame coach, Gary Kubiak. And so, there's just some different things that there's a lot of people out there that are hard workers. I was one of those, but I think I was fortunate to be around people like that, and then make the most of being around people like that. And then I think always there's some type of, parent influence whenever there's some type of success, and it's definitely been my dad. He's been kind of someone that I lean on for support, and I think whenever things are going really well, he wants to make sure you're staying humble, and whenever things are going poorly, he's going to build you up. And so he's been kind of the steady influence in my life.
And man, you're steady. He's done a hell of a job because you are steady, man. I don't know. I've never seen you come close to getting, phased by anything. I mean, you stay unbelievably poised. I think that's one of your main attributes at the quarterback position. If you had to talk about what you think is important in terms of characteristics and traits at the quarterback position, what might some of those be that you have?
I think you got to stay, like you said, pretty level-headed. And I think really, I think watching Joe go through the last 2 years and then the beginning of this year and how even keel he stays, I was always capable of that. But at times, sometimes I felt like in college, maybe I was the senior, or I was one of our better players, or whatever. When the energy wasn't right in the locker room, sometimes I would take that on and try and be the emotional leader, and that's not what I'm good at. And so one thing I learned watching Joe was, be yourself and just focus on operating well at quarterback, and just the nature of the position. If you're playing well, probably the outcome more often than not is going to be good, just because the influence the quarterback has on the game. So kind of credit him I was always kind of like that, but I would sometimes step outside of that thinking that I was helping the team, but, really just ignoring the momentum swings and just really focusing on playing well was really something that I learned from him.
There's nothing better than the sweet taste of nectar of a victory against a team that you once played with. And I've seen that so many times during the course of sports at all levels. So, and you were pretty blunt and honest about it after the football game, that now that it's over with, you really wanted to beat the Minnesota Vikings. You felt like, their treatment left a lot to be desired in terms of how it ended, but you did have great relationships there still. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think 2 things. One, obviously you're pretty emotional after a game. Even for my standards, losing my mind on the sideline afterwards, slamming a helmet, doing all that. Like, a pretty emotional thing. And you kind of want it to be like that. You want it to be important, but you want to keep your level head throughout the whole game. And so it came out at the end. But I think my biggest regret was of that whole situation was kind of I felt like it turned into that whole game was my revenge story or some vendetta. But really, at the end of the day, you watch the film and it's our defense was put in some tough situations because we weren't moving the ball very well early on. I throw a pick in minus territory that turns into 3 points for the other team. I mean, that is very, very difficult on a defense. And I put them in a tough situation for them to respond like that. And then on top of that, we get the ball first in overtime. We go 3 and out. Took a couple bad sacks. Didn't get the ball moving forward, and then we lose one of the best interior D linemen in the NFL, DJ Reader, in the first quarter, and then at the end of overtime is 3rd and 1 and 4th and inches, and we stop him on 2 quarterback sneaks. And so everybody's going to run with the story of the revenge story, and that. And I get it; it's an appealing story and all that. But I think my main regret is that it I felt like too much of the focus was put on that and not enough on, hey, we just played a complete battle of a game. And everybody contributed to that. Like you look at how many people were targeted in the stats. I think we targeted like 12 different receivers. Joe Mixon has a grown man run on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
And just, gets hit in the backfield and just finishes the run to give us a chance to even come back. I throw the ball up to T, and he makes one of the most incredible plays I've ever seen. And then at the end, I let my kind of emotions get the best of me, which is fine. Like I'm not upset about that, but
right.
I wish there would have been a little bit more of an emphasis on, that was a battle, and there was a lot that went into that. So, something to kind of take away next time. Maybe just have those victories or not moral victories, but just having that, positive feeling of kind of maybe a little bit of a revenge, but just having that in private. And, but sometimes it happens.
You are aware, obviously, and you knew a long time before this season that in the National Football League on a week-to-week basis, you're going to see every defense known to man, every kind of defensive front, every kind of blitz package, every kind of secondary, every kind of disguised secondary. And that's the way it's been in these 4 starts for you. I mean, you're going up against, finish the Baltimore game, Pittsburgh, what they do defensively. What this was, how this was against Minnesota in the very last game, the Indianapolis Colts defense. I mean, they all have something that they're known for, but it's not the same. I mean, it's a different look every week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the main difference from college to NFL is, I mean, every team, first of all, the salary cap is the way it's set up, the way where everybody's got guys, and it's just, and everybody has guys on defense, whether that's, they got more resources put into a pass rusher, a corner, or linebacker, safety. Everybody's got really good players, and scheme, people don't just get handed defensive coordinator jobs in the NFL. This is 100% production based employment, and so every team's gonna have guys, and but at the same token, we got really good players, we got really good coaches, and so you kind of lean on them for to give you the keys to beat whatever scheme we're going against, and then that's kind of the fun part of all this is then studying it and really trying to master how we're attacking whatever scheme we're presented with. So that's kind of the chess game a little bit of all this. And I find a lot of enjoyment in that part.
And then sometimes you have to kind of like rise above the X's and O's and create and extend like you did with Tyler Boyd, in the throw that you made to T. Higgins. It's like sometimes like, all right, well, I got trust in these guys. I know they trust me. I know I trust them. And I think that's the thing right away that was outstanding to me as a former player is that level of trust that was between you and everybody, you and the coaching staff and you and the players and you. And you guys are creating and extending plays, making unbelievably spectacular game-winning plays.
Yeah, I think that's always been part of my game. But, I mean, even going into this week, it's hard to have an answer for max drop and max pressure all in the
Right.
same play. And so sometimes we would, call a play expecting pressure. And, it's hard to, when they're dropping eight, it's hard to find people open. There's not really a scheme, that's going to consistently beat drop eight if they're playing it the way they're supposed to. And so even going into this past game, our quarterback coach, Dan Pitcher, was just kept saying throughout the week, like, hey, there's going to be some plays that you need to make with your legs, because this is, that's kind of what you give up when you rush three, is you're going to be able to get outside the pocket and, where you have the advantage in pass protection. And then as far as, the trust and all that, I mean, what a great situation for me to walk into, where I got the former starting, the franchise quarterback saying, hey, he's going to play great. I got a head coach that's like, hey, we go how you go. I got a quarterback coach that's like, hey, you're going to play amazing. And then even saying that after I come out the first game against Pittsburgh, and I don't play terrible, but we don't win, and we only put up like 10 points.
Right.
And for them to really double down on that afterwards, it was, made me be able to just focus on getting ready for the next game, not, are they going to try and replace me or anything like that. And so, there's a lot that goes into the trust part, and basically being handed the keys a little bit after Joe went down as a guy that had no starts in his NFL career was a pretty fortunate situation to be in.
So comes full circle. Here's Pittsburgh again for round 2. And it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, they fired their offensive coordinator, right before that last matchup. And what are you going to do offensively? But one thing defensively is the Pittsburgh Steelers get the edges up the football field, man. They come after you with Highsmith and Watt and guys of that caliber. What do you remember most about that Pittsburgh game, where all of a sudden, man, you're the guy?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was a little bit of trial by fire. Like you can prepare as much as you want, but until you're starting, you don't really know what all to expect. And so, hopefully that's a little bit of a different experience this time. But I think anytime we're going to play Pittsburgh Steelers, momentum of either team doesn't matter. Really, any AFC North matchup. I mean, the momentum, and we've won some games, and maybe they've had some tough losses, but in my experience of watching, Joe go through this, is the momentum of either team does not matter. It is going to be an absolute battle. I mean, we could be undefeated, and some other AFC North team could have no wins, and you're gonna go in there, and it's going to be an absolute battle. And so that's going into the game, just knowing that's how it's going to be. And just how good they are on defense. And like I think I said before we played them the first time, it feels like they've been good on defense for like 100 years.
Yeah, that's very true. It's remarkably true. The thing that you mentioned it a little bit earlier, you said, you targeted like a dozen different guys. At halftime of games, you've got completions to 9 different receivers already, 10 different receivers. It's unbelievable. I mean, you take completions, and you don't force the issue, man. It's like, you got players, you believe in the system, and you take what's there, right?
Yeah, I think that you have to play that way. And the one time I felt like I didn't do that, I threw a pick directly to the corner, where the corner didn't pick it off, and the safety would have picked it off. So it's, that I don't think you can force the issue on anything. And that was a big takeaway from the game, is, let the game come to you, and take the completion, stay in it. Because really, with most defenses in most games, I mean, that loses you the game. And fortunately, our defense was able to really swell up and hold them to 3, which was huge. We lose the game if they don't do that.
Right. How unique and great an experience is it? You mentioned it a little bit. Your head coach is a former quarterback. Your offensive coordinator is a former quarterback. Your position coach at quarterback is a former quarterback. You got Joe Burrow in the quarterback room, yourself. I mean, that room, you guys must be football at a doctorate level plus or something, when you guys are all in there talking football.
Yeah, I think the amount of time we spend in the quarterback room talking high level, scheme stuff is very high percentage of the time. And, I think it's obviously Zach has done an amazing job. And I think he's one of the best coaches in the NFL, just seeing how he maneuvers things and just also experiencing starting for made some bad plays and made some bad decisions, but never felt like he hesitated to be aggressive with me at quarterback. Even going back to my very first play in the Baltimore game, let's call it naked. Let's get you rolling. And I think you can feel that as a quarterback when the play caller continues to be aggressive, and it's a freeing feeling. And then as far as, Callahan and pitch, I'm shocked we've been able to keep them in the building for as long as we have, just the last 2 seasons. And then, this season too is just my opinion of them is very high. And it's, I'm sure at some point someone's going to steal them, but it feels like the best kept secrets in the NFL, where we got two really good coordinator and really, I would say Pitch and Callie are both, very involved in the game planning process and all that. And I spend a lot of time with Pitch. He's my position coach, but you get a lot of value from both guys throughout the week, and to have that continuity with the amount of success we've had over the last 2 years and going into this season has been, that's rare. So I selfishly, I'm glad that they've been able to keep him in the building, but can't say enough good things about what they bring to the table as far as game planning and stuff like that.
Your ability to throw on the run, I think, is extraordinary. It's second to none. Is it, like you said, the very first play you're in there, Zach's like, all right, let's naked and left. You're right-handed quarterback, rolling left. The mechanics, snap your shoulders around, get squared up, throw the football, and you throw a dart. And you've thrown the ball. The ball you threw to Tyler Boyd out of pocket was just unbelievable. In a tight window. Is it something that you've really worked on? Is it something that was natural for you? Is it a combination, or what's the deal?
I'd say a little bit of a combination. You work on everything, even stuff you're good at. You want to continue to make sure that that's a strength, and you always want to work on your weaknesses too. But I've always been able to throw on the run pretty well. I feel very comfortable doing it, and kind of always have. But I don't know if I can point to one specific thing. It's just some guys are just comfortable doing some things more than other things, and that's definitely comfort for me.
Well, wrap it up with this, and appreciate you carving all the time you carved here for us, because there's just a couple of quick things. Everybody's Jake the Snake. You've all kinds of nicknames. What's the nickname that you might favor, or do you care, or what? The legend of Jake Browning is not going to die. It's going to build to even a bigger crescendo. What do you think?
I think it's the nickname thing is there's nothing worse than a guy that gives himself his own nickname. So I'm hands off there. Whatever rolls.
I like it. And then final question. I know your family means everything to you, your girlfriend as well, and to experience this with them. The Burrows have been very kind and with their suite, and it's gotten a lot of national shots, and this must be exciting to you though to have your family front and center with experiencing the successes that you're experiencing. It must be a feeling that's second to none.
Yeah, well, I haven't forgotten that you texted me as well, offering some type of suite. So I appreciate that offer too.
I did, yes.
Yes, Dave Lapham has got all that. He's in the trenches, but he's got all the connections.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's
well,
been
it
great.
was the in the trenches suite, First Star Logistics suite. That's what we were working with there.
Well, I'm just glad I know you. That's my best connection in Cincinnati.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
But it's been an awesome experience. Joe's been so great to me. Even it's getting some pub because of the suite and all that. But my whole time here he's been nothing but an incredible, friend, teammate, all that. And so very, very fortunate to have that relationship with him. And I would hope he would feel the same. But it's been awesome to have my family here. My girlfriend is, I think she's very stressed throughout the games. So yeah, I'm sure the stress levels have gone up. But I think anytime you have a career like this, that it's it's a unique career path and a career choice. Obviously, a very rewarding one and all that. But it's not like I'm going to work. I'm not working a 9 to 5. This is a unique, and there's a lot of commitment and a lot of time, that I spend on it. And it can be kind of a black hole of time where you never know if, am I spending enough time? So you just spend more time on it. And so she's been great throughout that whole process. All my family's from the West Coast. All my friends are from the West Coast. And so to have them come out here and she's been able to show them around all the different food spots. Cincinnati is a sneaky food city. And so I think that's all my friends that come visit, they love, obviously I think everybody saw saw them in the suite through some different games. They've enjoyed the bar scene here. And so that with the food, and she's been great showing everybody around. And, I'm sure your wife can attest to it. It's not always the easiest thing in the world. And so we will be having a good vacation in the off season, and hopefully go find some warm weather somewhere and spend some time together.
No doubt. I mean, behind every great athlete, there's a great woman. There's no question about it. And the team has done a heck of a job of bringing people to the organization that aren't just great football players, but are unbelievable human beings as well, and that always leads to success. And in my mind, been on some good teams here in Cincinnati, been on some teams not quite as good. In every single case, the teams that went to the Super Bowl, made the playoffs, made a run, it was just unbelievable people from top to bottom, man. It was just amazing how everybody would do anything for each other. And that's how you win football games.
Yeah, there's no other way.
No question. Well, you're winning a lot of football games, Jake, and we won't worry about a nickname. I'm just going to be Jake Winner Browning. Every level. He wins at every level. That's what it's all about.
As long as that holds up true, I'm good.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team. We look forward to another year of In the Trenches presented by First Star Logistics, but we wanted to give you some big news. This season, you'll find our interviews and keys to Bengals victory on In the Trenches in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, along with our growing team of Joe Goodberry's Bengals on the Brain and Malik Wright's State of the Jungle. Also, the great folks at First Star Logistics have big plans this season with special giveaways each week the Bengals play. So be sure to visit both channels and our social media pages to stay updated on all giveaways and the latest news on the Bengals. So be sure to subscribe to the First Star Media Group YouTube channel, as after this season, it'll become the channel that will host all our content.